Hello again. We are now reading the Parshiot, the pericopes at the first half of Sefer Shemot, Book of Exodus, which have the historical narrative, which is the sacred narrative, the fundamental uh, history, which sets the identity of the Jewish people as the people who are the editors of the Oxford the Jewish Study Bible published by Oxford, which I've referred to several times in recent videos, point out correctly. In Judaism, belief is founded more on historical experience than on speculative thought. And nothing is really more fundamental in this historical experience than the stories at the beginning of Sefer Shemot, particularly the bondage in Egypt, the 10 plagues, the Exodus with the splitting of the Red Sea, and then the journey through the Sinai Peninsula, culminating, of course, in the giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai. Now, as you can well imagine, when we're talking here about history and history, which is so fundamental to the identity of the Jewish people, there are uh, plenty of people who are out to find evidence for this, archaeological evidence or historical evidence, though it's very hard to come by, and those who are out to debunk the stories by so-called proving that these things never happened, and then there are people who are debunking the debunkers, and so on. And I'm not getting into all of this. I just want to share with you one very small detail of these episodes, which I learned about again from the Jewish Study Bible of published by Oxford University Press. And I did a little digging, not much. If I get some, prodding in the comments, maybe I can come up with some more. A small detail, but the details are important in this regard. In his Guide of the Perplexed, Maimonides, asks, why does the Torah, especially at the end of the Sefer Chomesh Pekudim, Sefer Bamidbar, the Book of Numbers, uh, list in such detail all the stops, all the places where the Israelites stopped and camped for a certain amount of time. Why is a Torah, which is, this one-time revelation that which every word should be laden with legal and philosophical and religious significance? Why should it give such details of just simply recording? They went to this place and that place, and most of these places have long been wiped off the map, and no one knows quite where they are. And Maimonides says that there will come a time when someone will say, "Oh, this whole story of the Exodus from Egypt is a bunch of hokum. It was made up, and so on and so forth." And so the Torah gives us a precise list of the journey and all the stops along the way, so that we can see that we have a record. Now, in this regard, I find it very interesting to learn that one small detail that's recorded in the Torah immediately after Shirat Hayam, the song of praise, the hymn of praise, sung by the Jewish people after the splitting of the Yam Suf, where they stopped in a place called Elim, apparently not very far from where they crossed the Red Sea at the southern end of the boundary between Egypt and the Sinai Peninsula, and it says that just one verse that says that V'sham Shtemes Einot Mayim V'shivim Tamarim V'achanu Sham Ala Mayim. They stopped at this one place. There were 12 springs of fresh sweet water and 70 date palms, and they camped at the water site. Now it turns out that there is a place on the western shore of the Sinai Peninsula, not far from where one would expect in line with the biblical story, that is called to this day in Arabic Oyun Musa, the springs of Moses, and which has 12 springs of fresh water and and no orchards of date palms. I was very surprised to learn about this. And even though earlier commentators, particularly the great Professor Moshe Kasudo, had observed that there were a lot of watering spots and places with fresh water and trees in this part of the Sinai Peninsula, just on the other side of the Suez Canal, the Sinai side. Uh, no one had actually, as far as I know, actually pinpointed the place. It turns out that a certain Israeli archaeologist by the name of Menashe Har-El, in a book published decades ago, had proposed identifying Uyun Musa with this place called Elim. This on the basis of a book by a certain Thomas Barron, who explored in depth the topography, geography, and geology of the Sinai Peninsula. Uh, Now, this has been challenged recently, but not only on the grounds of the precise location of Uyun Musa, with regard to not to the Book of Exodus, but the book of I think in the book of Numbers, where are in a later account in the Bible, where Elim would have had to have been a little further south along the line. But other than that, no one seems to have taken much interest or challenged. It turns out that this place, as you can see on the photograph that I'm putting on the screen now, is now something that's being developed and pushed by the Egyptians as a wonderful tourist site. And I find it extremely interesting that 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 there should be this one little piece of information that seems to fit precisely how the Torah describes it. Being coming from my academic background, and not just that, we're used to, anyone who's studied traditional Jewish texts are used to seeing things coming in 12s and 70s, the 12 tribes, the 70 nations. So when there are 12 springs and 70 date palms, you say, well, okay, these are just what they call canonical numbers used in biblical narrative. But to find a place that actually does have 12 freshwater springs to this day, maybe the number of trees has changed over a few millennia, is interesting and heartening. And so I thought I'd share this with you in a short video. Thank you very much for your attention, and have a great week.